For the master student, I believe that you have a machine learning class with Dr. Dona. However, his class is mainly focused on like a deep learning. So from my side, I combined it a little bit with definition of AI, a definition of AI, and also how to apply the basics approach of using machine learning algorithm. Yes, so let's move on. So from the first pictures, you can see is that they have a robot and a human that they are playing the chess, and this says like AI is like human intelligence. And the next step, they also says that AI learn on its own. So in this from these two terms, just two images, can you imagine what is AI? ពួកយើងអាច imagine មើលថា AI នេះអីគេគ្នាយើងមានអ្នកគេឆ្លើយបានទេ
ដូច AI ជា answer for learning លោកគ្រូ
មានអ្នកគេឆ្លើយទីបាន AI អាចថាជាអីគេ so anybody can answer that what is AI to you, just give a general definition from what you have known. So what is AI?
AI គឺជា computer ដែល learn ពីមនុស្ស
Computer learn from human. ចុះគ្នាយើងផ្សេងទៀតមើលស្រីៗព្រោះអីគ្នាយើងឆ្លើយមើល អូខេមួយទៀតខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់គ្នាយើងសិនសុំកាត់តិចមេរៀននេះជាមេរៀន orientation មួយសម្រាប់អ្នកដែលចង់តទៅ master តោះណាអ្នកចង់រៀនខាង data science អ្នកចង់រៀនខាង machine learning big data អីហ្នឹង data warehouse ហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវហើយដោយសារតែយើងរៀន e-science វារៀងគេលក្ខណៈថាមេរៀនរបស់យើងរៀង management ខ្លះបូកជាមួយនឹង higher education ខ្លះវាមិនមែនជា development សុទ្ធទេអញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងវារៀងសម្បូរទៅដោយទ្រឹស្ដីច្រើនបងណាហើយនឹងអាចថា calculation វាអត់មែនជាតកតងជាមួយ web development Java code PHP អីទេមិន IS អីទេតោះណាអញ្ចឹងអ្នកដែលចង់ further ទៅ higher education មេរៀនហ្នឹងគឺល្អសម្រាប់ critical thinking ផងសម្រាប់ first start to understand what is machine learning and what is data អីចឹងទៅបងណាអូខេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមម្ដងទៀត what is AI ដល់នេះយើង Hello ស្ងាត់ហើយ
I think AI is the program that can learn by itself.
A program can learn by itself. Yes. And other?
smart robot.
Smart robot. និយាយទៅពួកយើងអ្វីយើងនិយាយហ្នឹងគឺសុទ្ធតែជា AI ប៉ុន្តែterm AI ឲ្យចំមែនតើក៏ពិបាកនឹង define ដែរគាត់ថាអ្នកខ្លះគេ define អធិស្ឋានផ្សេងគ្នាអញ្ចឹងណាប៉ុន្តែនៅក្នុងនេះយើងនឹងរៀនពីគេថា foundation ឬក៏អាចនិយាយពី originated នៃ artificial intelligence the definition of that artificial intelligence we can say both science and engineering or we can say that it is the science of understanding the intelligent entity of developing theory and attempt to explain and predict the natures of such entity and it is the engineering of intelligent entity អញ្ចឹងវាថា AI វាជា engineering វាថាវាជា science គាត់ថាអ្វីដែលយើងព្យាយាមបង្កើត AI វាថាយើងបង្កើតដូចគ្នានិយាយថា robot smart robot តែសួរថាធ្វើម៉េចដើម្បីវា smart អញ្ចឹងពេលខ្លះយើងសួរថា how can you make sure that the robot is smart អញ្ចឹងកន្លែងហ្នឹងមានន័យថាគេអាចសួរថា how do you define or how can you answer that the robot or the machine can think like human this is that they ask the engineering or the science toward the term AI and we will try to answer about that so next so from this tabular you can see that they have like 4 main category of the AI definition, and in each block there are 2 different definitions of the AI. So that means there are gonna be like 8 definition of AI. So if you see the definition on the top, it is concerned with the thought process and reasoning, whereas the one on the bottom address behaviors. So if you see the 2 category of the definition on the top, thinking humanly and thinking rationally, it will be focused on the thought process and reasoning. And if you see the bottom, the 2 different definitions of the bottom, on the bottom, the acting humanly and acting rationally, it is addressed on the behavior. And if you see on the left, on the vertically, like thinking humanly and acting humanly, thinking humanly and acting humanly, it is defined the term success in terms of fidelity on the human performance. And on the vertical on the right, it would be measured against the ideal performance and the measures that we call rationality. So the term rationality, if you say it is rational, normally it would give the answer of the right thing, given what is known from the past time. កន្លែងនេះចង់និយាយគ្នាយើងថាចេះនៅក្នុងកន្លែងនេះ AI គេឲ្យ 8 definition 8 definition បើយើងមើលខាងលើមើល the top មានថាខាងឆ្វេងខាងស្ដាំគេថា thinking humanly ហើយនិង thinking rationally បើយើងមើលទៅគឺវា define ទៅលើ thought process AI define ឲ្យ thought process ហើយនឹង reasoning មានថាវាមាន reason ហើយនឹងមាន thought ហើយបើសិនយើងមើលទៅលើ bottom ខាងក្រោម acting humanly ហើយនិង acting rationally វា address ទៅលើ behavior វា address ទៅលើ behavior ហើយបើសិនយើងមើលពុះជាត្រង់វិញ vertically បើយើងមើលខាងឆ្វេង thinking humanly and thinking humanly បើសិនជាមើលទៅវាប្រកាសជាបង្ហាញពី ideal performance វា against the ideal performance ហើយដល់ពេលខាងស្ដាំគឺវានិយាយពី rationality ហើយបើសិនជា term rationality ហ្នឹងយើងចង់សំដៅទៅលើថាបើសិនយើងធ្វើ system ហ្នឹងមួយអាច give the right thing ឬក៏ robot give the right thing ឬក៏ program ក៏ដោយវាប្រកាសជាវាអាច give the right thing វា based on what it know មានថា based on the past experience or the past data. Alright. Sorry, too sudden. So that is how the AI term យើងអាចទៅនៅទំព័រ So ឥឡូវយើងមើលទៅលើ acting humanly គេថា acting humanly the Turing test approach កន្លែង Turing test approach នេះគេចង់សំដៅទៅលើអី natural language processing to enable it communicate successfully in English កន្លែងនេះគឺ step term ហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែកន្លែងនេះគឺចង់សំដៅទៅលើ test approach មួយរបស់ Alan Turing គាត់បានឆ្លើយសំណួរមួយមិនមែនឆ្លើយមានន័យថាដូចខ្ញុំសួរមុនហ្នឹងណាពួកយើងអស់នេះលឺខ្ញុំនិយាយណា follow ឯងត្រង់ខ្ញុំនិយាយណា Hello everyone is I will talk in English and gonna speak to Khmer and I gonna talk in Khmer and speak to English so if you don't understand some part please ask me question អញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងចំណុចឡើងនេះចង់និយាយថាចេះដូចខ្ញុំបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងយើងនិយាយថា intelligent តើតោងជាមួយ engineering តើតោងជាមួយ build robot ឲ្យចេះអីគេAI can think like human តើគេដាក់ topic ពីលើអញ្ចឹងគេសួរថាតើ can AI really think like human the question គេសួរអញ្ចឹងធ្វើម៉េចដើម្បីឲ្យឆ្លើយថាតើម៉ាស៊ីនពិតជាអាចគិតដូចមនុស្សមែនអត់ចង់យ៉ាងអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹង Alan Turing មាន approach គេច្រើនណាស់ប៉ុន្តែ Alan Turing ក៏បាន propose ក៏បាន publish paper គាត់មួយដែលគាត់ឆ្លើយទៅលើសំណួរហ្នឹងថាwe cannot measure that how much machine can ជឿថាម៉ាស៊ីនយើងកំតសួរថាតើម៉ាស៊ីននឹងអាចឆ្លើយសំណួរទៅលើsorry តើម៉ាស៊ីននឹងអាចគិតដូចមនុស្សបានអត់ ở vậy thì thử với cứ số thắt ta mà xin ai trong cắt tay bà nó trong cắt tay ở tiêu được chỉ robot messaging bà sân chỉ không cạn này để mà nước dương để chat cho một robot đó đã ti đăng tha mình để chat với những cái chỉ robot anh nó meta mà xin được chỉ phèn toàn này hay tệ tôi chủ môi năng test approach test bỏ Turing nắng cứ miên tăng pi miên tăng pi cạnh này detection từ process làm bấy sao xong rồi tiêu hóa tha dễ dừng cái phở tha dừng chat robot thông mấy làm bấy chat bạn vui thử thuê cái khác là nó không process nữa thì mỗi việc thử cam miên tệ tôi chủ natural language processing đó chẳng ấy được nó biết thử tại chẳng ấy bạn đặt rồi nó cứ natural language processing được nó acting humanly làm bấy sao top cho mỗi năng ca thứ tết là bỏ lắng Turing thì bây giờ knowledge representation thì bây giờ just automatic reasoning thì 4 thử miễn machine learning được không năng thì bạn computer vision thì mua robotics so that is why acting humanly that means the machine can respond to the human accordingly and based on those terms to accumulate or to improve the robot to answers or to test that to test the Alan Turing, and if it passed about 30%, we can assume that AI can think like human, but not 100%. It's just 30% that the robot can pass the test. That we can say is AI can think like human. Okay, so the next part is thinking like human. The connective modeling. Cái lại này cái cho người ta the thinking humanly mean trying to understand and model how the human mind work. So normally there are 2 or 3 process to define or to find the answers to the question. This says about the introspection, trying to catch our own thoughts as they go by. Psychological experiment, observing a person in action. Brain imaging, observing the brain in action. So thinking humanly refer to trying to understand the model, how the human minds work. So which means that we try to build the AI to understand like human. So if you want to build the AI to think like human, so you have to model or you have to understand how human mind work. So in order to understand the human mind work, we have 3 steps or 3 points. The first point is introspection, trying to catch our own thoughts as they go by. The second one is psychological experiment, observing a person in action. The third one, brain imaging, observing the brain in action. So these 3 processes will help you to understand how human mind work. Okay. Chắc bây giờ vô là vài điểm trong dễ thôi. Mình tha cái lại thinking humanly mình tha cái lại nó riêng trong build AI đứa cái riêng trongធ្វើ AI nó thôi mà robot ấy nó ở check it đôi human. Đứa có cái này check it nhưng có bị mai như đó. Trên nó page cho nó thằng nó khang sai nó cứ cái ban define ha đầm bây giờ dương đăng đứa có model nó bán dương thợ tá model từ là human mind như vậy. Bây giờ dương xu của nãy tha tá ca kết bỏ dương là việc mấy trên ai sao trên nhở bởi dương sao toàn trên phố giờ biên AI trên chẳng á chẳng phải nói được kia thử kết hai dương thử tài đấng vì ca kết bỏ human chẳng đọc về mấy đăng bán cứ kia miền nào bay trận nó nằm bay bật đi cái nào nằm bay model nào đó. Once we have a sufficiently precise theory of the mind, it becomes possible to express the theory as a computer program. If the program input-output behaviors match corresponding human behavior. Chẳng lại nó cứ như vậy chẳng bởi thì dương miền là sufficient precise theory từ lời máy chẳng it has become possible to express the theory as a computer program. ជាមានថាម៉េចកាលណាបើសិនជាយើង define model របស់ thinking បានគឺយើងអាច define ទៅលើ computer program បានឲ្យវាទៅជា AI បាន The interdisciplinary field of cognitive science bring together computers model from AI and experimental techniques from psychology to construct precise and testable theory of the human mind ចឹងអ្វីដែលគេចង់បានចុងក្រោយគឺ cognitive science ហ្នឹងដើម្បី bring together នៅ computer model from AI then it can ហើយបន្តទៀតគឺយើងអាច experiment វាបានសម្រាប់ psychological construct ជាមួយនឹង theoretical testable សម្រាប់ human mind thinking rationally the laws of thought approach the thinking rationally refer to trying to understand how we actually think is one route to AI. But another approach is to model how we should think. This is that the term laws of thought. The thinking rationally approach to AI use symbolic logic to capture the laws of rationale through a symbol that can be manipulated. Reasoning involves manipulation, the symbol according to well-defined rule, kind of like a zebra. The result is an idealized model of human reasoning. This approach is attractive to theorists, etc. Example, modeling how humans should think and reason in an ideal world.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
What does it mean exactly, or what represent the symbolic logic?
Excuse me, I don't hear you clearly. Can you speak again?
Yeah, sure. What does it mean, symbolic logic, on the previous sentence explanation? The two words symbolic logic. Yeah, here.
You mean this one?
Yeah, study.
So when we refer to the symbolic logics, it refers to like the actual, because we say about the laws of thought. So laws of thought, that means we try to understand how we actually think. So if we try to, it's like we try to symbolize the logics, the flow, that how we think, the process on how we think, that we call the symbolic logic. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, more or less. Thank you.
So any other question? Okay, just simple like that. That how we try to identify what the term AI, and the term AI is quite broad if you say it's just like AI. So many researchers, many science try to give the definition based on their approach and their hypothesis, or maybe their evidence. So it is one of the answer to the question that how can we sure the machine can think. So in order to make sure that a machine or the program can think like human, it is to model your thinking, right? And in that case, we just try to understand of how we actually think. Because if you know the actual or the flow or the logic, or maybe the logic refer to like the flow that you think. Maybe it is one possible way to the AI, right? This is the real meaning on this part. Okay. Acting rationally. I'm sorry, did I write wrong? No, thinking rationally. This is acting rationally. Okay, acting rationally, the rational agent approach. So as I have give the definition that what is rational. If you say that rational, if you refer to the robot or you refer to the machine or the program, it would be, I mean, it is the program that give you the right answer. It's based on what it know. That means it's based on from the data or the previous experience or previous information that it got. So acting rationally means acting to achieve one goal, given one belief to understand about the world. And they say that an agent is a system that perceives an environment and acts within the environment. An intelligent agent is one that acts rationally with respect to its goal. For example, an agent that is designed to play game should make move that increase its chance of winning the game. So in this case, in order, for example, like the chess, the machine or the robot would acquire the knowledge from the previous or maybe the experience of how to play chess, so that it can be and it can respond to how to play to win the game. That is called rationality. When constructing an intelligent agent, emphasis shift from designing and the theoretical based decision-making procedure to design the best decision-making procedures possible within the circumstance in which the agent is acting. Until from this part, anyone having question? គ្នាយើងមកដល់ត្រង់នេះមានតែគេចង់សួរអីអត់ទេ
លោកគ្រូខ្ញុំសុំសួរមួយលោកគ្រូ acting rationally ហ្នឹងវាធ្វើវា acting វារបៀបម៉េចលោកគ្រូខ្ញុំអត់យល់លោកគ្រូ
ចង់សម្ដៅថាជាយើងបើយើងនិយាយពីចង់ឲ្យថាបើសិនជាពេលដែលយើង build program មួយនៅពេលដែលយើងចង់ឲ្យ program នោះវា respond ដល់ពី act ហ្នឹងដូចជា respond ឯមួយចឹងថតយល់មែនចឹងកន្លែងហ្នឹងគេចង់សម្ដៅទៅលើកាលណាបើសិនជា machine ហ្នឹងអាច respond to AI មានថាយើង support ថាវា machine គឺជា machine AI លុះត្រាតែវាអាច respond ហើយវាអាចឆ្លើយតបទៅអ្វីដែលបានត្រឹមត្រូវ based on the previous action ឬក៏ previous experience ឬក៏ previous knowledge ដែលវា acquire ហើយជាធម្មតាវាបើយើងនិយាយតែ definition ប៉ុណ្ណឹងវាអត់អាចចង់ថាវាខ្លះវាអាចយល់បានតម្រូវហ្មងឯងលុះត្រាតែយើង dig into that part ចង់អីចឹងណាយើងទៅស្គាល់ពី agent ថែមទៀតទៅលើចំណុចហ្នឹង
លោកគ្រូសុំទៅលោកគ្រូនៅគ្រូថា AI ហ្នឹងវា acting rational based on past experience ចុះនៅពេលដែលយើងធ្វើអ្វីមួយដែលថាវាអាចធ្លាប់ជួបប្រទះអញ្ចឹងតើវា respond វាមិនវិញលោកគ្រូ
អូខេបើយើងសួរអញ្ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងវាចាប់ដើមគេថាហ្នឹងហើយបានវាចង់ថាវា learn AI learn from itself ឥឡូវទីហោដូចយើងកាលពីយើងនៅក្មេងសួរថាយើងស្គាល់កែវអត់ឬក៏យើងស្គាល់ថាទឹកក្តៅអត់ស្គាល់ទេអត់ក្មេងគាត់ទីលូកដៃទៅប៉ះទឹកហ្នឹងដល់ដឹងថាទឹកហ្នឹងក្តៅអញ្ចឹងបើយើងសម័យទៅលើថាតើ machine អាចដូចកូនក្មេងអត់វាអាចនៅពេលដែលវាប៉ះទៅក្មេងចាប់ដើមដឹងថារបស់ហុយមើលទៅហុយហ្នឹងគឺទឹកក្តៅហើយអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹងក្មេងចាប់ដើមចាប់អារម្មណ៍ទៅថាអាហ្នឹងទឹកក្តៅអញ្ចឹងដូចគ្នា when it meets new data or new experience it store the data or store that experience for the new future experience ចង់អីចឹងមានន័យថាបើសិនជាវាជួបរបស់ដែលថ្មីគឺ AI ហ្នឹងវាទៅចេះ capture the information ហ្នឹងទុកដើម្បីសម្រាប់ learn ទៅខាងមុខទៀតបងវាអញ្ចឹងវាអាចតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងដូចយើងតាក់ទងខ្ញុំចង់សម្ដៅទៅលើដូចយើងតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹង past data និង new data បងណា កាលណាបើយើងមាន path data យើងគ្រប់គ្រាន់គឺយើងអាច respond ទៅនឹងឬក៏យើងអាច predict ទៅលើអ្វីដែលមាននៅខាងមុខតែបើសិនយើងអត់ដែលមានគឺមានន័យថាយើងត្រូវទាញ information ទុកដើម្បីវាជារបស់ថ្មីថ្ងៃក្រោយឃើញស្គាល់អត់ណា
បាទលោកគ្រូ
So that's the four parts of that definitions of AI. So I would like to move next to the foundation of artificial intelligence. So this is the summary that what is the AI? AI, artificial intelligence, is both science and engineering. It's the science of understanding intelligent entity, of developing theories which attempt to explain the predicts of the nature of such entity, and is the engineering of intelligent entity. Okay, and those four terms are from the previous part, which is a summary on this part. You can read it later, and then we can move next. So from the part of definition of AI, I just want to show you the state of the art of the AI. What are the success of the AI, and what are the part? I mean, the thing that inside the AI. Because when you say just AI, it's quite broad. Okay. The state of AI, we have like machine translation, we have prediction, we have autonomous planning and scheduling, something like that. Speech recognition, also the part of the AI, natural language processing, robotic vehicle, game playing, spam fighting, big data, and machine learning, etc. So those are the stuff, those are the state of the art of for the AI. Okay. I feel like it's quite difficult to explain in the terms of that AI. It's quite broad and it's quite difficult to find a way to guide you to understand the term AI. But this is the introduction. It might be it's just the first step to AI, and you can try to search or maybe to dig onto that if you want to know it more. However, our class we're gonna just give the introduction of the AI, and then I will move to the machine learning. That's the basic one that we're going to focus on. Okay, here. So we're going to back to focus on a part of the AI, and also the pillar for the data mining and big data, and also data warehouse. That's in machine learning. So what is machine learning? If we talk about the machine learning, they say that it comes on its own with a growing recognition that machine learning can play a key role in a wide range of critical applications, such as data mining, as I mentioned, natural language processing, image recognition, expert system, and also machine learning provide potential solution to all these domain and more, and it's said to be a pillar for the future civilization. And in machine learning, there are two types of machine learning. We call supervised learning and unsupervised learning. The supervised learning machine learning, or the supervised machine learning, it is required the training process. That means a predefined set of training example. The term example refers to the set of data that is used for a specific context or the specific goal. With then facilitate its ability to reach an accurate conclusion when it given new data. So when you have a trained data, it's like you have a past data. When the new coming data, when the new data is come, it's gonna be classified or gonna be predicted or gonna be measuring or maybe can learn for the new data. For unsupervised machine learning, the program is given a bunch of data, and it find and learn on its pattern, and then it cluster those data into the pattern based on the natures of data, and then it gonna cluster those data. So for example of supervised learning, you may have those data inside your program or machine, and then when this kind of data is coming, your machine can predict or can classify or can tell or can suggest what that data is. Okay. The unsupervised learning, you have these data. Okay, you have this data. Based on the pattern, it's gonna cluster those data based on the natures of data. Okay, maybe this one is focused on the pattern, maybe the size, the shape of that data, and then it classify or cluster into class A and class B. Okay. Okay, so now we go into an origins of machine learning. So since birth, they say that since birth means, like as I mentioned on the since we get born, we are inundated with data. Our body sensors, eye, ears, nose, tongue, and nerve are continually assailed with raw data. Cái trong vậy taដូចខ្ញុំបញ្ជាក់យើងមុនហ្នឹងចាពួកយើងតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹង data ហ្នឹងតាំងពីក្មេងមកតាំងពីកាលមករបស់ខ្លះយើងអត់ស្គាល់ច្រើនជារួមទៅយើងដូចជា empty machine ហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាគូក្បាលយើង just process just learn ហើយ just evaluate ហើយ just interpretation representation ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងគ្រាន់តែឃើញរបស់អីមួយថ្មីយើងអត់ស្គាល់បើគេប្រាប់យើងនៅទុកហើយបើសិនយើងមានបើសិនយើងអត់ដឹងថាទឹកក្តៅក៏ប៉ះទឹកក្តៅថ្ងៃក្រោយចំណាំថាទឹកដែលដាក់ក្នុងកែវហុយហ្នឹងគឺក្តៅអញ្ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងគឺយើង get a raw data ហ្នឹងហើយយើងចេះ representation ឲ្យក្នុងគូក្បាលយើងហើយយើង remember វា Okay. Our brain translate this raw data into sight គូក្បាលរបស់យើងគឺ translate data raw data ហ្នឹង into sight ហ្នឹងគឺការយល់ដឹង sound smell taste and texture អញ្ចឹងដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយមិញហ្នឹងថាទឹកក្តៅវាប៉ះទៅវាក្តៅគឺដោយសារវាចំណាំថាបើដាក់ក្នុងកែវវាហុយខ្លាំងអញ្ចឹងបើសិនយើងប៉ះទឹកក្នុងកែវហ្នឹងគឺវាប្រកាសជាទឹកក្តៅអញ្ចឹងយើង represent ឲ្យគូក្បាលយើងគឺ textures. Okay. So which means that our brain translates these raw data into sight, sound, smell, taste, and textures. Using language, we are also able to share this experience with others. From the advance of written language, human observation has been recorded. Hunter monitors the movement of the animal herd. Early astronomer recorded the alignment of planets and stars, etc. ជាងកន្លែងហ្នឹងដូចបញ្ជាក់ហ្នឹងវាគ្រាន់តែ define ទៅលើថាតើ origin របស់ machine learning កើតមកពីណា machine learning មានថានៅពេលដែលយើងមាន data គឺយើងអាច apply machine learning បានហើយ machine learning វាកើតឡើងមកមិនគឺដូចមនុស្សយើងអញ្ចឹងយើងកើតមកគឺ empty ប៉ុន្តែនៅពេលដែលវាជួប data វាត្រូវចេះ record data ហ្នឹងទុកវាត្រូវចេះtranslate data ហ្នឹងវាត្រូវចេះ translate វាទៅជាអីក៏ដោយដែលអាចថាគូក្បាលយើងហ្នឹង note ទុកបាន Okay. Whether the sensor recorded temperature and pressure data, civilian, camera watch sidewalks and subway tunnel, and all manners of electronic behaviors are monitors. For example, transaction, communication, friendship, and many others. These the look of data has led some to state that we have entered an era of big data, but this may be a bit mismanaged. កន្លែងនេះចង់និយាយថាចេះថាទោះបីកន្លែងនេះមានថាយើងឥឡូវហ្នឹងវាទោះបីតែយើងមាន sensor record temperature ឬក៏ pressure data ក៏ដោយកន្លែងហ្នឹងនៅកន្លែងគឺចង់សម្ដៅទៅចេះសង្ស័យថា បច្ចុប្បន្នយើងនិយាយពីថាយើង compare ថាយើងនៅពីក្មេងគឺយើងព្រោះថាយើងមានsensor គឺតាមដៃតាមច្រមុះតាមមាត់តាមភ្នែកយើងឃើញអីយើងចាំហ្នឹងយើងស្ដាប់ឮអីយើងចាំហ្នឹងដែរយើងឃើញអីយើងស្គាល់ហ្នឹងយើងស្ដាប់ឮអីយើងចាំហ្នឹងយើងប៉ះអីយើងដឹងហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងសម្រាប់មនុស្សយើងគឺយើងមានរបស់ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងខាងក្រៅហ្នឹងវាដើរតួជា sensor ហើយទន្ទឹមគ្នាដែរហ្នឹងនៅខាងក្រៅតើតើនឹងបច្ចេកវិទ្យាហ្នឹងគឺយើងប្រើ sensor អញ្ចឹងទោះបីជាមនុស្សដើរទោះបីជាមានsubway ណាក៏ដោយ electronic behavior ក៏ដោយគឺយើងអាច monitor បានហើយយើងអាច get data នឹងបានទោះបីជា temperature ក៏ដោយអញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាមកដល់ពេលបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះ data ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺអាច gather បានអាចប្រមូលបានអត់ទេអញ្ចឹងមកគេ give example for example transaction communication friendship ហើយស្អីៗគឺអាចប្រមូលបានហើយបន្តមកទៀត this develop data មានថា data ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺ data ធំហ្នឹងវាអាចបានឲ្យយើងហ្នឹង enter ទៅ big data អញ្ចឹងរងថ្ងៃ data យើងគឺច្រើនមែនទែនចូលលក្ខណៈ big data but this ប៉ុន្តែហ្នឹងគេថា maybe a bit misnomer អូខេ misnomer human beings have always been surrounded by large amount of data much of which can be directly accessed by computers so I would like to explain in English again from this part they mentioned that from the last slide we say the data is gathered by the human I mean since we were young the data we can collected by our body sensors so from that part in the current days we have many sensors that we can collect those data and those data are very big and that is why we can say that right now we are into a big data and those data are gathered by our around by our body so that which means that I would like to compare that for human since we were young we use our body or our sensors by nose ears eyes or hands to get the information but right now we have the sensor to collect those data so that means that data is around it Earth. Okay. Next, also the origin of the machine learning. The larger and more interesting data set are increasingly accessible at the tip of our fingers. So, which means that data are accessible, which means the data is easy to access. However, the data is so big because you can see that we have temperature, we have many others kind of data, a lot of data. This well information has the potential to inform action given a systematic way of making sense of from it all. In this part, it just mentioned to those data we can it is potential to inform action. It is like if you want to apply machine learning in some context or in some specific goal, we just given a systematic way. So that means we can representation or can interpret it into a size of a new understanding to have people or to have the working process. The field of study interest in the development of computer algorithm to transform data into intelligent action is known as machine learning. This field originated in an environment where available data, statistical or other method, and computing power rapidly and simultaneously involved. So in this machine learning field, they mentions that there's a data involved, a statistical method or other method, and also computing powers that is gonna involve together to perform a machine learning. So in this part, they also mentioned that growth in data necessitated additional computer power, which in turn spurred the development of statistical method to analyze larger data set. So that also the part for the machine learning for analyzing the data. So from those part, it's going to create a cycle that we can draw it that into available data, statistical method, and the computing power. That those three gonna connect to each other. Okay, a closely related discipline of machine learning we call data mining. It is concerned with the generation of novel insight from like a database. As the implies, data mining involves a systematic hunt for not just of actionable intelligence. Although there is some disagreement over how widely machine learning and data mining overlap. So they mentioned that there's a disagreement how machine learning and data mining overlap each other. But a potential point of distinction is that machine learning focuses on teaching computer how to use data to solve problems, and meanwhile data mining focuses on teaching computer to identify the pattern that human then use to solve problem. Okay. ចឹងឡើយនេះគេចង់សម្ដៅទៅលើ data mining ហើយនិង machine learning បើគិតទៅ data mining ហើយនិង machine learning គឺវាខុសគ្នាវាខុសក្នុងថាដូចជាចឹង machine learning គឺ focus ទៅលើ teaching computer how to use data to solve problem ប៉ុន្តែ data mining គឺវា focus ទៅលើ teaching computer to identify pattern that human then use to solve problem ចឹងឡើយគឺជាចំណុចដែលខុសគ្នារវាង data mining and machine learning. Virtually, all data mining involve the use of machine learning, but not all machine learning involve data mining. ចឹងមានថាចង់និយាយថា data mining ហ្នឹងគឺប្រើ method ឬក៏អាចនិយាយថា machine learning algorithm ប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេល machine learning algorithm ហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែមិនមែនគ្រប់មានថា machine learning ហ្នឹងគឺ involve data mining ទេគេ give ជា example for example you might apply machine learning to data mining automobile traffic data pattern related to accident rate. Okay. លើពីនេះទៀតបើសិនជា if the computer is learning how to drive the car itself this is purely machine learning without data mining. អូខេកន្លែងគេចង់ compare ពីរបើសិនជាយើងប្រើ machine learning ទៅលើ data mining សម្រាប់ automobile traffic data pattern related to accident rate ហ្នឹងអាហ្នឹងគឺយើងប្រើ machine learning involve ជាមួយ data mining ប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាយើងចង់និយាយថាចេះបើសិនជាយើងយក data ដែលយើងប្រើ machine learning ហើយយើងប្រើឲ្យមានថាយើងធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យឡានហ្នឹងចេះ drive ខ្លួនឯងអាហ្នឹងមានថាគឺវាជា purely machine learning មានថាម៉េចគឺយើងប្រើតែ machine learning algorithm ទេដែលយើងអត់មានប្រើ data mining ទេ Okay. Machine learning success. Machine learning is more successful when its argument rather than replaces the specialized knowledge of a subject matter expert. It works with medical doctors and the forefront of the fight to eradicate cancer, assist engineer and programmer. With our effort to create smarter home and automobiles and help social scientists build knowledge of how society function. កន្លែងនេះគេចង់សម្ដៅថា machine learning គឺវា successful ច្រើនហើយគេអាចគេបាន argument ពីច្រើនមានន័យថាវាជា pillar មួយសម្រាប់ដែលយើងប្រើការជាមួយនឹងវិស័យ medical ដូចជាតកតងជាមួយនឹងវិស័យយោធាតកតងជាមួយនឹងផ្នែកវិស្វករ program ឬក៏យើងអាចតកតងជាមួយនឹង smart city smart home ឬក៏ automobile ជាច្រើនហ្នឹងគឺជា machine learning success មានន័យថា សំដៅទៅលើ field ដែល machine learning អាច apply បានបាទហើយទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងក៏វាមានច្រើនដែរវាមិនមែនមានតែរបស់ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងទេមានថាវាមិនមែនមានតែវិស័យតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងទេដែលអាចធ្វើបានវាអាចមានតាំងវិស័យឯកជនផ្សេងៗជំនួយរកស៊ីក៏ដោយ scientific laboratory hospital ក៏ដោយគឺអាច apply នឹង machine learning ហ្នឹងអូខេទៅទៀតកន្លែងនេះគឺសម្រាប់ machine learning success ដែល term មួយចំនួនឬក៏អាចថា application មួយចំនួនដែលបាន apply ជាមួយ machine learning អញ្ចឹងទីមួយវានិយាយពី identification of unwanted spam message in email. So in this part, it is a survey of recent success story include several prominent applications of using machine learning. So for example, like identification of unwanted spam message in email, segmentation of customer behavior for targeted advertising, forecast of weather behavior and long-term climate change, reduction of fraudulent credit card transaction, actuarial estimate of financial damage, storm and disaster, natural disaster, prediction of popular election outcome. So those stuff are the machine learning success, or maybe we can say the field that we apply machine learning. Also the development of algorithm for autopiloting, drone and self-driving car, optimization of energy use in home and office building, projections of areas where criminal activity is most likely referred to like the projection is like where we detect the activity that the criminal going to act there. Discovery of genetic sequence linked to disease. Also the discovery genetic sequence linked to disease like cancers, like diabetics. Sorry, not diabetes. And also other diseases that can also apply machine learning. Okay, for now we say that it is sufficient to say that no matter what the context is, the machine learning process is the same. In this part, I just want to say that those contexts are the field for machine learning that we apply, and also it is a success that machine learning apply and they use nowadays. However, the context is not different, refer to the process of the machine learning. The difference is just only the data may be different, the algorithm, but maybe the same algorithm, the model, or maybe the representation might be different. Okay, so next, even the machine learning has its success. However, the machine learning can also have its limit. Machine learning at the time is not in any ways a substitute for a human brain, which means that we cannot say that a machine learning can substitute our brain, human brain, because it has not flexibility to extrapolate the outside of the strict parameters that we say like to learn and know for some common sense. With this in mind, one should be extremely careful to recognize exactly what the algorithm has learned before setting it loose in the real world setting. So in this part, that the machine, the limit of that machine learning is that we cannot say that everything or every data we can pass by the machine learning. It has its limit to use in some context. So it might not be possible to apply machine learning instead of using some natural process, or maybe let's say the manual process. just that way. Okay, another step is, can we know how the machine learn? គ្នាទាំងអស់គ្នានៅ follow ខ្ញុំតាពួកយើង
លើ
Okay. Okay, ខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងមួយថាពួកយើងសាកគិតមើលថាតើ machine learning វា learn វាម៉េចកន្លែងនេះគេចង់ដឹងថា machine learning learn វាម៉េចហើយអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យពួកយើងឆ្លើយគ្រាន់តែឆ្លើយថាតើអក្សរ O អក្សរ F អក្សរ D ហ្នឹងវា categorize នៅក្នុង group មួយណាពួកយើងសាកទាញមកខ្ញុំគិតថាប្រហែលស្រួលណា So in this part we want to define how the machine learn. So anybody can tell me which group it belongs for categorizing the letter below, letter O, letter F, and letter D. So suppose that we have three groups, group 1, group 2, group 3, and let's categorize letter O, F, and D. So anybody can answer? Can I call Anthony?
Yes, sure. I would so I just based on the, I don't know if it's good, but I just based on the form of the letter, so I would just put F on the group 1, D on the group 2, and O on the group 3.
Okay, so can you give the reason how you categorize that?
I didn't have any idea, just so I just look at the form of the letter. So F is I don't know how to explain, but D looks like more or less like B, and like on the group 3 they are more or less like C is half of a circle, so that's why I put O on the group 3. But just because I didn't have any idea, so yeah. But
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Your answer is correct, but just you have different learning because you say that because you have like letter A or letter T like similar to F, letter B similar to D, letter C is half circle, so you can categorize that. But it is quite the same. Just group 1 you have like everything is straight to form a letter, and group B like you have the straight line or also the curved line. And the group 3 you have only the curve, so which means you categorize those letters based on the pattern. So in this case you have 3 groups before you categorize this data, so it's like you classify. So this is also can call the supervised learning. You have previous data and then you have new data, you classify it. Okay, and suppose if it is not if you don't have the previous data and they just give you a bunch of data, you're gonna categorize those data into 3 groups like this. Those letters, this is the letter formed by the straight line, this is the group of the letter formed by the straight line with the curved line, and this is the group that contain the letter formed by the curved line. Okay, so this is you, or we can say this is the unsupervised learning. Cluster the data, and this one it is the supervised learning. It's like you have data and then you classify it. So how the machine learning learn? A formal definition of machine learning proposed by computer scientist Tom Michael states that a machine learning a machine learns whenever it is able to utilize its past experience such that it improve on similar experience in the future. So in this part, as you can see from our example, if you have previous data or you have the data, you're gonna use you're gonna use the past experience from that data or the past data to classify what the new data is coming, or what the data that come. And although this definition is intuitive, it completely ignores the process of exactly how experience can be translated into future action. So as I have mentioned, the machine learning, or maybe the AI, not maybe the AI, use its past experience to predict the new data, or maybe classify the new coming data, or categorize it or predict it based on the type of data. And then it can improve for the futures. For example, as your friend having questions that if the machine never seen those data, it's gonna store the data for the next or for the futures of the next coming data. So as they said that while human brain are naturally capable of learning from birth, the condition necessary for computer to learn must be made explicit. So it is like, okay, human can learn from birth, but machine cannot learn from birth. Okay, we have to build it how to learn. Okay. Okay, next. So machine learning, to apply machine learning, we have 4 main part to consider, or we can say like this is how the machine learn. First is the data storage. It utilizes the observation memory and recall to provide a factual basis for further reasoning. So it is important that you just store the data, as I mentioned, previous data, or maybe the experience or the trained data, that we have to store it first. And the second one, we have to do the abstraction. The machine, not we. Machine will do the abstraction. The abstraction refers to the translation of stored data into a broader representation and concept. So in this part, we're gonna apply like the modeling to model your data. It's going to have like the equation, 3 definition, or maybe other method, or maybe rule-based algorithm to build a model for the further representation of the data and concept. And the third one is the generalization. Use the abstract data, or use the model that you build, and create a knowledge and inference that try action in new context. So that means when you have the model, it's like you have what to answer to the data you have, and then you have to give it a context or translate it for the further insight. The last one is evaluation. Provide a feedback mechanism to measure the utilities of learned knowledge and inform potential improvement. As like I have explained, when we predict something, if it is wrong, or maybe when the new data is coming and it is like we never known this data, our machine gonna store the data directly into somewhere or some storage, and then to use it for the further future data, or maybe for the prediction. For example, if you predict that tomorrow is raining, but actually it's not rain, or maybe it rain but rain little, so you can improve that based on the actual data and your predicted data, find the errors, and then makes an improvement for the model. machine learning in practice. So for the basic practice in machine learning, we have like 4. I don't put it 3 maybe. The first thing is the data exploration. We have for the data exploration and preparation, it is for the store data part. So you collect the data, you prepare the data for the learning process. Maybe you have to involve in the fixing and cleaning the messy data, or eliminating some unnecessary features or the column that is not related to the outcome. And the second one is the model training. It is in the abstraction phase. In that case, by the time the data has been prepared for analysis, you are likely to have a sense of what you are capable of learning from the data. So model training, it might be related to the specific context on what you are doing. It's like you work on prediction. You're gonna have the model for prediction. If you have if you work on the classification, you're going to have the model training for the classification, or maybe the clustering data, something like that. The specific machine learning task chosen will inform the selection of an appropriate algorithm, yes, as I mentioned. And the algorithm will represent the data in the form of a model. Okay. Model evaluation. If better performance is needed, it becomes necessary to utilize more advanced strategy to augment the performance of the model. So, for example, if you have your model and your model can predict, for example, the weather. Tomorrow it's going to rain and it's rain. So your model is like 100% accuracy. However, you need to still to find the way to evaluate your model, because maybe sometimes the data that you have trained is not well enough, or maybe you have the testing data is quite similar to the training data. So that's why your model is good. But in this case, in best practice, they suggest that you have to find multiple ways to test your model and to evaluate it to do the improvement. Sometimes it may be necessary to switch to the different types of model altogether. You may need to supplement your data with additional data or perform additional preparatory works as in step 2 of the process. So like I mentioned, maybe you can try different model for your data. If it is good enough, or maybe it is too good, or maybe it is not good, you can change the model for the training data, or maybe you can do some more preparatory works on the data preparation, or maybe you need to collect more data to train your model. That is the way to evaluate your model. Type of machine learning. So in the abstraction, I have mentioned that we need to a specific context or maybe goal in building a model. So if you have know that your model is the predictive, it would be more comfortable to choose a appropriate algorithm for your model or for your problem. So machine learning are divided into categories according to their purpose. Understanding the category of learning algorithm is an essential first step toward using data to drive the desired action. A predictive model is used for tasks that involve the prediction of one value using other value in the dataset. The learning algorithm attempt to discover and model the relationship between the target features, the feature being predicted, and the other feature. They often use supervised machine learning tasks of predicting which category an example belongs to is known as classification. Yeah, so mostly we're gonna work on the algorithm that on the classification and clustering maybe, but for predictive it is not ready in this class yet. So type of machine learning algorithm, for instance, so give you an example, you could predict whether an email message is spam. Here that's the prediction. A person hates cancer. A football team will win or lose. An application will default on a loan. Supervised learner can also be used to predict numeric data such as income, laboratory value, test score, or counts of items. For example, to predict such numeric value, a common form of numeric prediction with linear regression model to the input data. Descriptive model is used for a task that would benefit from the insight gained from summarizing data in new and interesting way. As opposed to predictive model that predict a target of interest, in a descriptive model, no single feature is more important than any others. So in this case, it's like all the feature are also having it. I mean, they are all necessary in the prediction in the descriptive model, and it is and it is not required to eliminate any features, and or any feature is more important than the others. In fact, because there is no target to learn, the process of training a descriptive model is called unsupervised learning. So the descriptive model is going to be the unsupervised learning. Please wait a bit. Okay. Next. So please wait a bit. គ្នាយើងមិនចាំមកដល់ត្រង់នេះពួកយើងមានអីជាបញ្ហាអត់ទេពួកយើងដំបូងនេះសិតតែមេរៀនទិស័យសិនទេប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលវគ្គក្រោយទៅមានរបបផ្សេងអញ្ចឹងlike ទិសដីយើងពិបាកបន្តិចមើលទៅគ្នាឮខ្ញុំនិយាយទេឮគ្រូអូខេគ្នាយើងមានអីសួរដល់ដំណឹង Okay, so here are some algorithm and its learning tasks. So we can see that this top one, this this top part is gonna be the supervised learning algorithm, and that part is gonna be the unsupervised learning algorithm. For example, like KNN, nearest neighbor algorithm, gonna be the classification, naive based classification, decision tree classification, classification rule learner, also the classification, linear regression, numeric prediction, regression tree, model tree, neural networks, supercomputer machine. Dual use refer to like you can use both. Association rule, pattern detection, K-mean clustering data, backing, boosting, random forest. Okay, but we're gonna cover some of them, not all of them. Okay, to begin applying machine learning to a real-world problem, you will need to determine which of the 4 learning tasks your project represents: classification, numeric prediction, pattern detection, or clustering. So it is like I said, if you know your learning task, it could be comfortable for you to select the algorithm to apply for your model. And the type will drive the choice of algorithm. For instance, if you are undertaking pattern detection, you are likely to employ association rule algorithm. Similarly, a clustering problem will likely using the K-mean algorithm. Okay. Okay. We come into like nearly the end of the class. So in this part, the machine learning with R program. So for the next class, you guys going to learn the machine learning with R. So these are the link to download the R Studio or the R console from the Crank website, and make sure that you are ready for on your computers for the AR program, and then we can try some programming on AR, and then we're gonna learn about the algorithm and apply on it. Okay. So today I give you the introduction of AI and the introduction of the machine learning. So those are the introduction of the machine learning, and those are only the introduction. We haven't yet go to the cores of the machine learning, and we have given the definition, concept of AI: acting humanly, thinking humanly, acting rationally, thinking rationally, state of the art of AI, machine learning originated, and the intersection of statistics, data science, computer science, also the powerful tool that capable of finding actionable insight for the large quantities of data. And we focus on some part on the machine learning practice, data collection, data exploration, data preparation, also the model training, model evaluation, and the improvement. So for the first chapter is end here, and you can have the question if you have question. And one more thing, I'm gonna manage our group for the topic presentation. Okay.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
I want to ask about the model. What is a model in machine learning, and what are the functions that it's performed in machine learning?
So what is the model, right? And
What does it do in machine learning?
Yeah.
Yes.
What does it do in machine learning, and what are the functions of machine learning, like that?
Of the model. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you talk about the model, it is just a representation of your mathematics algorithm for your data. It is like, as I mentioned, like if your data is numeric, you're gonna have equation. If your data is like cluster data, you're gonna have like three structure as a model, or you maybe have if-else rule or rule-based array structure as a model, or maybe you have regression for your model, and those model, its function is to find the answers for to find the answer or solution for your problem to the data you have. Do you get what I mean? Let's say, where can I find example? What is model? Okay, let's say K-mean algorithm. Okay, the model is like, for example, you have the problem on our data. Okay, I see. I think this is example. So for example, I give you like 23, right? 23 letter of the English alphabet. I want you to cluster the data into, let's say, 3 classes. So right now you have data is the letter. It is not numeric. The letter A, B, C, D until Z. So those your data, and our goal is to cluster those data. So what is your model right now? So since you know that your data is the clustering, okay, your learning test is clustering, you choose unsupervised learning, and it's gonna be the K-mean clustering algorithm. So that K-mean algorithm gonna be your model, and that model is the mathematics equation or just a mathematical formulation for that data. And then you will find the cluster, or maybe you can find, or how you can identify define your data, and then you can cluster those data. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm wrong on the K-mean clustering, because you have your data is not numeric, so we cannot use K-mean. I'm sorry, we're gonna use the pattern. Okay, based on the pattern of the data. So which means it is not the numeric model. It's gonna be like the pattern model. Okay, you can see your data pattern. So you're gonna cluster those data into pattern, and how you define the pattern is the model to define your data. Chẳng lẽ nó có dân vô như vậy ạ? Cô dân vô như vậy. Alo, nhưng xong mua nè xu nữa, nè xu với cái.
Nhưng nè số chẳng một đồ nó ai thay vì chỉ program ban đầu là cũng
Dịch nó với mình program này. Programទាំងmũ với tới chia machine learning này. Đó, machine có thay chạy machine learning nhưng ta biết chia algorithm đó. Với chia coding bao nhiêu để dân sẽ rule bao nhiêu ta. Đó, program á, bây giờ phải biết là program đó. Có thay đạo computational computer đó. Còn tay model ở sân tạo là program này. Có thay program cứ kia vô model một thứ chỉ cầm rú đầm bê program sẽ xây tam đó. Đó.
Bạn
Trong model bao giờ nó vì còn lại chia được mathematics formulation chẳng. Còn tay dương ai apply mathematics formulation mát lưu ta bé lưu bộ data những chỉ numeric còn. Như viện numeric ấy. Rồi thành data những chỉ number bên những phở k-mean hay phở k-mean tới vì kẹn này data. Kẹn này chỉ lấy đó nó. Rồi đấy. Chứ ta bất tới lại data set để như vậy tha a đo dẫn nắng có những ai của k-mean này phần tay có tha lưu ta là những trang mới cái preparations và data representation ở mà thả lỡ data pattern ở số e là để ở số e form từ đâu và toát thoáng những trò thay ở số e ha cái đạm mặc group nắng cứ để xa với form để toát thoáng chứ bữa sau những classify thay lỡ số e để tăng đôi lệ số thoáng chỉ lên của màn này chỉ đó như represent chỉ đúng hết chắc bên nó có những ai của k-mean này phần tay đời xa tay cái này nếu như trong một trận tham một đề bồi dưỡng viên mệnh thẩm đã chia số mấy ca cần được chia tới số mấy ca thì vì a chia tree structure tree you biết tree decision tree đam chứa cu graph chứa
yes
អាច model វាអញ្ចឹងឬក៏ rule base មានថាម៉េច rule base ឧទាហរណ៍ថាយើងសរសេរថាបើសិនជាយើង if ហើយធម្មតាយើងគិតថា if ហ្នឹងជា program មែន if មិនមែន program ទេណា if ហ្នឹងគឺជា conditional sentence ឬក៏អាចថាវាជា conditional syntax sorry មិន syntax វាគ្រាន់តែជា rule ទេខ្ញុំចង់និយាយអញ្ចឹងណាជា rule ទេមិនមែនជា program ទេ program នៅពេលសរសេរ code ទៅ code if គេសរសេរអក្សរ if អញ្ចឹងណាតោះណាអាហ្នឹងគេហៅថា code ហ្នឹង program ផ្សេងប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលយើងនិយាយនេះប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាចេះយើងអាចប្រើពាក្យថា program ទូទៅក៏បានដែរគាត់ថានិយាយទៅឲ្យដាច់ពីគ្នា model មិនមែនជា program ទេតោះណា model វាគឺជា formulation មួយអាចវាជា rule អាចវាជា mathematics អាចវាជា tree structure អីចឹងតោះណាដែលយើង define សម្រាប់ឲ្យ data របស់យើងហ្នឹងវាចេញជាអីតោះណា
Okay អញ្ចឹងវាជា anything that can យើងអាចយក that យើងអាចអាចធ្វើឲ្យយើង classify data របស់យើងបាន
អាច classify ក៏បាន prediction ក៏បានclustering ក៏បានតើដែលខ្ញុំបញ្ជាក់ថាប្រភេទនៃ machine learning ហ៎គាត់ហើយ
Okay បាទ
អញ្ចឹងហ្នឹងគឺជា model បាទហើយនៅក្នុង machine learning វាមាន model ច្រើនហើយ model ហ្នឹងគឺសម្រាប់និយាយរួម model មួយគឺជា algorithm និយាយសាមញ្ញវាដូចជា method មួយដែលយើងបង្កើតអញ្ចឹងឧទាហរណ៍ថាបើសិនយើងរក algorithm ណាថ្មីមួយបានឧទាហរណ៍ដូចនិយាយថា random forest គេបង្កើតថ្មីអញ្ចឹងតែបើមិនថ្មីយូរហើយវាជា deep learning ប៉ុន្តែអាហ្នឹងសួរថាដំបូងធ្វើម៉េចបានចេញជា random forest ដំបូងវាចេញតាម decision tree ចុះដល់ពេលគេយក 3 + 3វាចេញទៅជា forest ដល់ពេលអ្នកខ្លះទៀតដើម្បីរកអា decision node មួយនៃ tree ហ្នឹង node មួយនៃ tree ហ្នឹងអ្នកខ្លះគេគ្រាន់តែប្រើតែ information gain សម្រាប់ feature ឯងតែដល់ពេលអ្នកខ្លះគេអត់ប្រើអញ្ចឹងគេប្រើ mathematics អីមួយទៀតដើម្បីរក information gain ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹងវាទៅជាលក្ខណៈយើង build របស់ហ្នឹង based on our own model ហើយ our own algorithm ហើយប៉ុន្តែវាប្រកាសជាមានអីមួយច្បាស់លាស់ដើម្បីគណនាអញ្ចឹងបានធ្វើអញ្ចឹងបានតោះណា
បាទអូខេតោះ
អ្វីខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់ពួកយើងគឺចង់បញ្ជាក់ថាទី1 program មិនមែន model ហើយ model ក៏មិនមែនមានតែគណិតវិទ្យាសម័យកាលដែរពាក្យថា model ណាវាមានច្រើនវាដូចនិយាយអញ្ចឹងវាអាចជាលេខអញ្ចឹងទៅគណិតទៅវាអាចទៅជា tree វាអាចទៅជា rule អញ្ចឹងទៅបងឯង
បាទគូ
អូខេ
លោកគ្រូខ្ញុំសុំសួរមួយ
yes
តកតងជាមួយនឹង type របស់ data នៅក្នុងមុនហ្នឹងលោកគ្រូបានលើកឡើងមាន numeric ហើយនឹង pattern ត្រូវឯលោកគ្រូហើយវាអាចនឹងមានអីផ្សេងទៀតលោកគ្រូ
វាមិនមែនមានតែ pattern អញ្ចឹងទេមែនទេវាមានច្រើនគាត់ថាដឹងឲ្យយើង data ពេលថា data វាអាចមានជាលេខអញ្ចឹងទៅឧទាហរណ៍ថាឥឡូវនោះវាឧទាហរណ៍ថាចេះគេនិយាយពីអាកាសធាតុ weather ខ្ញុំសួរថាតើអាកាសធាតុ data អាកាសធាតុមានខ្លះឧទាហរណ៍ថាវាមានដូចជា humidity វាមានដូចជា temperature វាមានដូចជាខ្ញុំចង់ភ្លេចទៅតែមើលទៀតណាប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាសំខាន់វាមានឧទាហរណ៍ដូច humidity temperatures windy windy គេឲ្យវាមកជា classical data អញ្ចឹងមកថា humidity គេថា humidity normal តែដល់ពេល temperature high ហើយដល់ពេលអីផ្សេងមួយទៀតអីចឹងទៅគេទាយថាហ្នឹងអាចមានមេឃភ្លៀងខ្ញុំរកកន្លែងហ្នឹងនិយាយបើយើងទាយចាំតិច
លោកគ្រូអាចជួយ list down type of data ឲ្យខ្ញុំមើលពី3 time ក្រៅពី numeric ហើយនឹង pattern ក៏បានដែរលោកគ្រូ
យើងឃើញ pattern ហ្នឹងអក្សរ A A F ហ្នឹង pattern តើឥឡូវគេដូចជា classic cluster data ត្រង់ classic cluster ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំនិយាយពីតកតងជាមួយនឹងដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយវិញ temperature ខ្ញុំហើយខ្ញុំទៅបើកអានេះឲ្យមើលសិន type of dataឧទាហរណ៍ sorry ខុសចាំតិចពេលយើងឃើញ screen នោះមែន
ឃើញលោកគ្រូ
ឥឡូវសួរថាអានេះជា data
ជា data លោកគ្រូ
អូខេអាហ្នឹងជា numeric អត់
អាខ្លះ numeric ប៉ុន្តែអាខ្លះមិនមែន numeric ផង
អាហ្នឹងយើងហៅថាជាអី
data
ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយថាវាគឺជា cluster data ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយឧបមាថា model SEL SEL SE SES អាហ្នឹងវាជា cluster data តន់វាអត់តន់វាហ្នឹងគឺជា cluster data ឧបមាថានេះ Malik អានេះគេឲ្យមកជា information ជា number ជា number តម្លៃក៏ជា number ប៉ុន្តែនេះវាជា cluster ឬក៏ជា categorical data color ក៏ជា data yellow gray ដល់ហើយនេះ data នេះគឺ represent ឲ្យ LAN នេះឆ្នាំ2011 model SEL ខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងអីគេហ្នឹងហើយតម្លៃវាប្រហែល 20000 ជាងMalik ហ្នឹងមានថាចម្ងាយវាជីបាន 7000 ជាងពណ៌លឿងហើយ LAN ហ្នឹង transmission មកវាគឺប្រភេទ auto មិនលេខដៃទេអញ្ចឹងបើសិនតែយើងមើលទៅអាហ្នឹងគឺជា data ហើយសួរថាបើយើងមាន data ប្រភេទហ្នឹងសួរថា model ចឹងយើងគួរតាម model មិនហើយសួរថា learning task យើងជា learning task អីគេបើសិនជាយើងមាន data អញ្ចឹង for example ជួនកាលយើងអាចទាយបានថាយើងចង់ cluster data ថាតើ LAN ណាដែលជា LAN LAN អត់លេខសេរី LAN ណាដែលជា LAN លេខសេរីឬក៏អាចថា LAN ណាដែលស្ថិតនៅក្នុងជា LAN ប្រភេទ LAN ដែលគេអត់សូវជីហើយមួយទៀត LAN នេះគេចង់សបោជីហើយ LAN នេះគឺពួក LAN មកទឹកឧទាហរណ៍អាហ្នឹងវាស្អីយើងអាចថាអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹងបើសិនជា model របស់យើងអាចទៅប្រើកណិតអីណាបានទេយើងប្រកាសជាប្រើអីគេអាចថាប្រើ naive base ឬក៏ប្រើ decision tree ឬក៏អាចប្រើវាអាចប្រើ association rule ដែលសារវាមិនជា pattern data ហើយវាអាចអីគេទៀតអាចប្រើវាអាចមាន algorithm ច្រើនប្រើប៉ុន្តែយើងទៅសិក្សាមើលសិនថា goal ចង់ធ្វើអីយើងក៏អត់មាន data ប៉ុណ្ណឹងក៏អត់ត្រូវដែរសំខាន់ទីមួយស្គាល់ goal សិនបាទយើងស្គាល់ថា okay what is your goal to apply the machine learning algorithm and when you have your problem you will have the idea of what data you should collect and when you have the right data you're gonna identify what are the what is your learning type for the machine learning and then you can try different algorithm for your data okay ចឹងមួយវិញទៀតឧទាហរណ៍ថាឥឡូវយើង data ប្រភេទហ្នឹងនៅមាន data មួយទៀតតែខ្ញុំអត់មាននៅក្នុងនេះទេអ្វីខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់គឺឧទាហរណ៍ថាខ្ញុំនិយាយថា pattern data ហ្នឹងអានេះយើងឃើញថា pattern មួយណាចុះឧទាហរណ៍ថាតកតងជាមួយនឹង transaction នៅលើការលក់របស់ on market មនុស្សម្នាក់ចូលមកទិញអីវ៉ាន់មួយយកទៅមកកត្រកអ្នកមួយទៀតយកទិញអីវ៉ាន់យកទៅមកកត្រកទៀតតែដល់ពេលហ្នឹងយើងមិនបានជា data របស់ transaction របស់ customer ហើយដល់ពេល goal របស់យើងឧទាហរណ៍ថា goal យើងចង់ធ្វើជា recommendation system មួយដែល recommendation system ហ្នឹងគឺសម្រាប់ថាចង់ guess behavior របស់អ្នកទិញថានៅពេលអ្នកទិញចូលមកនោះបើកាលណាគាត់ទិញនំប៉័ងគាត់ទិញដោះគោអត់អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាយើងចង់ធ្វើ promotion វាគួរតែ promotion នំប៉័ងលាយដោះគោឬក៏ដោះគោនំប៉័ងឬក៏គេអាចចង់និយាយថាចេះនៅពេលដែលគេទិញអីគេទៀតឲ្យតែគេទិញទឹកស្រាគេទិញទឹកកកអញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងគេថា pattern data មានថា data ហ្នឹងគឺជា pattern អញ្ចឹងបាទអញ្ចឹងវាមានប្រភេទ data ហ្នឹងរៀងច្រើនគួរសមហើយ data ហ្នឹងឧទាហរណ៍ចង់និយាយថាវាយោងទៅតាមទី1យោងទៅតាមដូចនិយាយអញ្ចឹងបញ្ហា system អីដែលយើងចង់ធ្វើ របស់យើងចង់ធ្វើដល់ពេលយើងដឹងចង់ធ្វើអីហើយយើងត្រូវសួរឯងថាតើ data ណាដែលយើងគួរតែប្រមូល what kind of data you should collect it ដល់ពេលយើង collect data ហើយយើងត្រូវចេះ clean data you have to clean data ហើយ and then you have to understand what is your nature of data យើងត្រូវដឹងពី nature data យើងជាង nature data យើងជា data numeric ឬជា data cluster ឬក៏ជា data pattern ហើយបូកនឹង learning goal របស់យើងទៀត you can choose your best algorithm អូខេហើយ algorithm នេះដែលដើរតួជា model ដើម្បីclassify ឬក៏ predict ឬក៏ suggest សម្រាប់ system របស់យើងបងណាមុខងាររបស់ model គឺអញ្ចឹងអូខេខ្ញុំគិតទៅមានអារម្មណ៍ថាលឿនព្រោះថាដងដូចជាឆ្នាំមុនខ្ញុំប្រហាត់ប៉ុណ្្នឹងអញ្ចឹង2ម៉ោងតែដល់ពេលនេះទៅតែម៉ោង 4:38 នាទីចឹងពួកយើងមានសំណួរទៀតអត់ and for the foreign student do you have any question I'm sorry that maybe my English is not good enough to make an explanation but I will try my best to explain in English and also in Khmer for Cambodian student so if you have question please just give me your question and then I will try to answer your question គ្នាយើងមានចង់សួរទៀតអត់ No អូខេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសរុបមកវិញតើតើនៅ machine learning នឹងមាន practice ជា step ហើយពួកយើងកុំតណាថាភ័យគ្រាន់តែថាជា step ដំបូងខ្ញុំតែសារខ្ញុំក៏អត់សូវធ្លាប់និយាយអង់គ្លេសនៅក្នុងម៉ោងពេញម៉ោងដែរពេលច្រើនខ្ញុំនិយាយខ្មែរហើយនិយាយអង់គ្លេសខ្លះបើនិយាយជាប់ពេកទៅក៏រៀងទៅដិតមាត់ដែរអញ្ចឹងវាអាចថាជា first experience ដូចគ្នាហើយមួយទៀតតើតើនឹង learning មេរៀននេះfirst chapter វាជា theory and also the concept ហើយកាលណាវាជា theory និង concept it is quite difficult to understand ចុះអីចឹងណាវាប្រហែលជាពិបាកនឹង understand ប៉ុន្តែនៅពេលដែលយើងចូលដល់ step មួយទៀតយើងនឹងសាកយក data ហើយយើងយកមកធ្វើវាដោយ apply ទៅលើ algorithm ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងហ្នឹងនេះអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលហ្នឹងយើងប្រហែលជាអាចhaving more understand about the machine learning algorithm អូខេមួយទៀតតកតងនឹង class របស់យើងដែលខ្ញុំនិយាយថាពួកយើងត្រូវចែក group ខ្ញុំមើលឃើញ group ពួកយើងចែកមកគឺគ្នារៀងច្រើនមានថាមិនគ្នាច្រើនទេ group ច្រើនខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យថែមម្នាក់មក group ទៀតមានថាយើងដាក់5នាក់មក group ទៅតោះនេះហើយយើងអត់តន់ជារើសអីទេតោះណាគាត់ថាអ្នកដែល group ទី1
លោកគ្រូខ្ញុំសុំកាត់តិចចាក់ដោយសារតែពេល group assignment ហ្នឹងដូចអ្នករៀនអំអងអញ្ចឹងគាត់ត្រូវដាក់ group ជាមួយពួកខ្ញុំឬក៏ត្រូវដាក់ group ផ្សេងគ្នា
ខ្ញុំសុំសង្កេតគាត់ដាក់ group ផ្សេងគ្នាប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវមានកូនសិស្សអំអងនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងហ៎ទេស្អី
មានលោកគ្រូអំអងចាំលើកដៃទាំងអស់ហើយតិច
អូមកឃើញទៅនោះអូខេឥឡូវចិត្តទៅកុំឲ្យថាយើងចាច់គ្នាយើងឥឡូវយើង combine ចូលគ្នាក៏បានដែរប៉ុន្តែសួរថាយើងរកវិធីសាស្ត្រដើម្បី work together ព្រោះថាយើងនឹងមាន project mini project មួយយើងមាន presentation មួយអញ្ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងបើយើងធ្វើជា group មួយយើងគឺយើងធ្វើទាំងអស់គ្នាអញ្ចឹងហើយវាតាំងពី presentation តាំងពី group អូខេ
បាទលោកគ្រូករណីអំអងមានត7អ្នកលោកគ្រូ
មានម្នាក់
7អ្នកលោកគ្រូ
អីដល់ពេលដែលខ្ញុំដាក់បន្ទុកខ្ញុំដាក់បន្ទុកតាមថ្នាក់ហើយខ្ញុំដាក់ថ្នាក់អំអងផ្សេងខ្ញុំដាក់បន្ទុក E ផ្សេងបងណាបាទអញ្ចឹងយើងធ្វើការជាមួយគ្នាទៅដើម្បីស្គាល់គ្នាផងព្រោះទីទៅទៅយើងសើស្បងប្អូនគ្នាទៅស្គាល់គ្នាទៅក៏បានដែរសម្រាប់ខាងគាត់ជនជាតិពួកយើងអាច discuss មួយគាត់ក៏បានដែរអូខេតោះណា
លោកគ្រូចំពោះជនជាតិខ្ញុំវាថាដូចលឺថាខាងមកពីខាងម៉ាឡេលោកគ្រូខ្ញុំអត់មានលេខឈ្មោះពួកគាត់ផងចឹងខ្ញុំអត់បានដាក់ឈ្មោះពួកគាត់ចូល
ម៉ាឡេគាត់ធ្វើការខាងម៉ាឡេគ្នាគាត់ទៅអត់អីទេ
ចាអញ្ចឹងមានតែអង្គគាត់មួយ
យ៉ាតែអាន់តូនីនឹងមួយទៅដាក់គាត់ចូលទៅក្នុងនោះ Okay ដូចជាប៉ុណ្ណឹងហើយសម្រាប់ extract ខ្លះដូចបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងយើងរៀនទៅធម្មតាសិននៅពេលដែលមាន extract ខ្លះខ្ញុំនឹង announce ប្រាប់ពួកយើងហើយ Okay so I have talked with the Cameroon student for managing the group presentation and also the mini projects. So for master student gonna work with the not year 5 student and also the exchange student. Anthony, you're gonna work with the year 5. However, for the Indonesia student, right? If I'm not mistaken, Indonesia, right? Are they here? So they, I got the information that they have holidays within this day, maybe 2 or few days. So they're gonna work with different. And if you have any problem about the grouping with your working group, just inform me. And for now, our class for the first chapter is gonna be finished by now. And if you have more questions, you can ask me. Okay. Anthony, do you have any more questions?
Not at all, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So ចឹងគ្នាយើងខ្ញុំ end first chapter តាមប៉ុណ្ណឹងហើយបញ្ជាក់មួយទៀត and to clarify for the last part, don't forget to download the AI software for your computer, okay, for the next class. All right.
លោកគ្រូសុំសួរមួយកន្លែង Air Software ហ្នឹងបើយកបន្ទូខ្ញុំឃើញដូចអាហ្នឹងជា command line ដឹង
ហ្នឹងហើយជា console. Yes. យើងប្រើយកបន្ទូបាទ អូខេដូចខ្ញុំដែរអីទេ
បាទលោកគ្រូ
លោកគ្រូមាន file ប្រាប់ពី set up អីលោកគ្រូឬក៏យើងគ្រាន់តែ install វាហើយយើងត្រូវ set up អីថែមមក
អត់អីហ្នឹងAir program ទូចទេអត់អីស្រួលទេទូជាង MATLAB ផងប៉ុន្តែបើយើងប្រើ Studio Air Studio អូខេហ្នឹងយើងច្រើនបងណាយើងប្រើ console ដូចជាអត់ស្អីលើ Mac ហើយនៅលើយូបន្ទុកដូចជាប្រើ console នៅលើ terminal អត់អីស្រួលតែលើ Windows ខ្ញុំអត់ធ្លាប់ដែរយើងសាកមើលសិនទៅអូខេ
លោកគ្រូខ្ញុំសុំមួយលោកគ្រូAir program ហ្នឹងខ្ញុំវាពិបាកតិចក៏ពេលយើង install ធម្មតាយើងប្រើបានដល់ទៅពេលខ្ញុំសាកលើ terminal ទៅវាអត់ស្គាល់លោកគ្រូចេះលើ terminal ហើយប្រើ
យើងប្រើអីគេ
ខ្ញុំប្រើ Windows លោកគ្រូប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំរ៉ានលើ Bash ខ្ញុំប្រើ Bash
បើសិនជាប្រើ Bash ជាមួយនឹង Windows ខ្ញុំ recommend ឲ្យប្រើ console ទៅno sorry ប្រើ Air Studio
បាទលោកគ្រូ
download Anaconda តាំងខ្ញុំគិតប្រើ Anaconda នៅក្នុងនោះមាន Air វាមកហើយជាប្រើនឹងបានអូខេ
សុំទៀតលោកគ្រូកន្លែង Air Studio ខ្ញុំអាចប្រើ VS Code ជំនួសបានទេលោកគ្រូ
ប្រើគេ
VS Code Visual Studio
ខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងថាម៉េចទេប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់តែ Air ហ្នឹងវាគ្រាន់និយាយទៅដូច MATLAB ស្រៀងតិចស្រៀង MATLAB ទេអត់ពិបាកទេ program ហ្នឹងបងណា
បាទ
តែយើងយកមកក៏មានទៅ build program ឯដែរយើងយកមកគឺដើម្បី read data ហើយយើង process data ហើយយើង apply algorithm នៅហ្នឹងដោយសារតែវាមាន package វាស្រាប់បើគេអ្នកគ្រូផ្សេងខ្លះគាត់ប្រើ Python តែខ្ញុំអត់ប្រើ Python ទេដោយសារតែខ្ញុំរៀនជាមួយហ្នឹងគឺប្រើ Air ហើយ Python ប្រហែលជាត្រូវ install package ខ្ញុំអត់ប្រើខ្ញុំប្រើ Air អូខេហើយណាមួយក៏វាជាចំណុចល្អដែរដើម្បីឲ្យពួកយើងស្គាល់បានច្រើនអ្នកណាធ្លាប់រៀន Air ស្គាល់ Air ទៅអ្នកណាអត់ធ្លាប់រៀនស្គាល់ជាមួយខ្ញុំទៅអូខេហើយអត់បាក់ទេអាហ្នឹងគ្រាន់តែសរសេរតិចទេអត់មានពិបាកដូចយើងសេ program ធំទេអូខេអញ្ចឹងបើពួកយើងអត់មានអីគេយើងប៉ុណ្ណឹងទៅយើងសម្រាប់ប៉ុណ្ណឹងទាំងអស់គ្នាអូខេ
ជួយលោកគ្រូ
Okay, so if you don't have any more question, we end our class here. But just remind that please install the Air Console or Air Studio in your computer, because next class we're gonna have the data understanding on the Air program. Okay. So thank you so much for the class.
Goodbye, teacher. See you next week.
Okay, thank you.